Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael and we're going to be getting right back into some more Reddit stories. If you enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Now, without further ado, let's begin. This story was posted by a user named Too Toxic to comment. The post is titled, "I think my friend has eyes for my wife. I have a wife that I've been with for over 10 years and married for 3. We have a 10-month-old son now. I recently met a guy who turned out to have a lot of common interests with me, both into finance, fitness, and stuff. We started hanging out more and more and work out together weekly in my home gym garage. Obviously, we are spending time together and we shoot the shit often. His situation is that he's single, a father of a 7-year-old girl, and his ex is a super bitch to him. She publicly talks down to him the few times we all went out to dinner together. He still has to see her because they are co-parenting, but he's been trying to date for the past year. Anyway, we got on the topic of what he's looking for in a girl because he keeps on going on dates and they all suck according to him and none of the girls are his type. So I ask what his type is and he starts describing the traits of my wife. Could be a coincidence. Whenever we go to dinner, he'll be telling a story or whatever and show a picture on his phone, but only to my wife. I have to ask him to see what the picture is before he puts it away. Not that I care that much, but feels sus. Whatever. We've been hanging out more and having game night at my place with him and a few other friends. Whenever he's in the presence of my wife, he takes my son and puts him on his shoulders and plays with him in front of her. He makes weird comments, at least I think so, in front of my wife like, "I love being a father and providing for a family. I wish I had a wife that was as good at raising kids as you. Let me know if I can help you in any way with your son. Always directed to my wife and never me." Okay, whatever. The thing is, these comments have been setting off eye raises for me, so when I was working out with him the other day, I said, "Do you think my wife is attractive?" He said, "Your wife is hot." I said thanks, but it raised my antenna even more. Now, the reason I'm writing this is because his most recent comment to me was, "Do you think your wife can find a girl for me at her workout class that looks like her?" This coupled with what happened the other day at dinner. We were going to dinner with him and his family that were in town. It was at a big shopping center, so we were waiting at a Starbucks for them to arrive at the restaurant. He comes to the Starbucks where we are while his family is at the restaurant. He waves and says we are ready. I start packing my son's bag while my wife handles the stroller. This dude grabs my son and puts him on his shoulders and starts walking out. My wife is walking out and I'm grabbing the bag. Now I'm literally watching this guy walk next to my wife, holding my child while she's pushing the stroller, and I'm trailing them. I felt I was watching a couple and their child and I was seething and feeling displaced. Am I the jerk? Because I'm cutting this guy off, not letting him anywhere near my wife and kid again. If we happen to see him in a social setting of 6 or less, we are leaving. Edit, asked my wife if he ever texted her or contacted her in any way. She said no. I told her just now that I feel he's peacocking, and she said she doesn't get that vibe at all from him. A female friend came over tonight who mutually knows this guy. She agreed that it's strange and thinks he is crushing on my wife, intentionally or not, and told my wife to her face that. I told my wife that if another female can see it, it's obvious. My wife now says she feels embarrassed that she doesn't see it and says it'll be awkward now because she doesn't want to think of him looking at her that way. Both her and the friend think it's best if we only see him in social settings with large groups and not at our house again. Lesson, seems the general consensus is to trust my gut if I feel something is off, and it does. Going to talk to the wife and then tell this dude straight and then ghost him. Then after about 3 weeks, OP posted an update. Here's the update. After all the advice, I decided to go the slow cutoff method rather than being direct, mainly because my thinking is that if you tell someone that you're wise to their BS, they may just try to be more covert, cover their tracks, and be sneakier with their behavior, or try to buy sympathy with mutual friends. There was a party we were invited to at his house, and I told my wife we aren't going. This caused a bit of tension within our house because it got pretty heated because while she thinks he's doing it subconsciously, she has zero interest in him, so it doesn't bother her, and she said she didn't even notice until I brought it to her attention. Needless to say, the fact that it caused an argument and drama for me was more than enough grounds for me to never have this dude around my wife and kid ever again. Anyway, because he was already introduced to all of my friends in my friend group, he invited all of them to this party. We didn't go and a few friends asked if we were going. I explained the situation and a few of them agreed that they saw what I saw. They said they were not going to the party. One couple did decide to go because they and he became close over the fact that they both really are into sports. The girl texted my wife and told her that they were the only couple that showed up, but she also said he had a girl there with him. They said the girl barely spoke English, but he said they were dating and she was acting very odd. Now, this is the part where I'm not sure if he was made aware of my discontent with him because I had already started cutting him off. After this party, he randomly texts me photos of him with this girl professing how hot she is and what a great catch she is and how they are dating. One phrase he used which further raised my suspicions was, "It'll be good to go on a double date so you can see I have a girl." I'm thinking to myself, why would he care about that and what an odd thing to say. I asked how they met and he said Tinder. I asked to see the conversation. He deleted it. He sent her Instagram photos and she has 37k followers and half her photos are of her in Dubai, London, etc. and doing lewd photo shoots. Considering he is a strip club kind of guy, this makes me think he may be paying for this companionship to get his foot back in the door. But I could be wrong, so all is right. I'm plenty busy with work and wife and I are fine. Son is happy as can be and I'm going to make sure I keep the grass cut so I can see the snakes before they get to my door. Thanks everyone for the reassurances. One user commented, "It's telling when multiple friends say they've noticed. Just like women often pick up on other women's intentions before guys do, men often do the same with other men. Although it's often interpreted as jealousy, which it can be, the wife needs to trust her husband and friends on this one." Under this comment, another user said, "Yes. I realized early on that a family member's partner wasn't the person my partner thought she was. She was lovely to him, but an absolute passive-aggressive twat to me as soon as he was out of earshot. I tried to tell him over and over, but he couldn't see it and thought I was making a mountain out of a molehill. So I started gray-rocking the shit out of her when I couldn't avoid being alone with her, and it didn't take long before she turned her nastiness on him. Maybe it would have happened eventually anyway. Maybe she was frustrated and was trying to get a reaction out of me, but it did the job and he finally saw what I'd been saying all along." User Demisha said, "People who think the wife is cheating just because she misinterpreted the guy as just being nice and because she didn't want to miss a party all her friends were going to are weird and need to get a life." Another user named Jen Fit said, "I agree with the commenter that the wife should have shut down the friend picking up his son and walking with her, even by subtly just walking with OP and not confronting the guy. As a wife, I strongly dislike male attention that isn't my husband's, and I trust him when he tells me his perception as he is usually right. He also trusts me when women get too close and always sets appropriate boundaries. I can't imagine having a partner who doesn't take their spouse into account." This next post was made in the Surviving Infidelity subreddit by a user named Sanfran Gonga. The post is titled, "My wonderful life just got set on fire. I just caught my wife and partner of 10 years cheating. I never in my wildest dreams imagined myself looking through this sub, let alone contributing to it. I am just going to unload here to put this into history for my own good and to perhaps help others along the way. It's a very similar story to others that I have read, but maybe there's some uniqueness to my experience thus far. I'm going to lay it out in chunks of events that grew my suspicion and later confirmation. This is brand new, so forgive the ridiculously lengthy details. I put it all in here to document it for myself and to reveal the true situation through my words. The final confrontation was last night, and I did not sleep a wink. Disclaimer, this is the worst, most embarrassing thing I've ever experienced, so I have created a new ID to post it. My wife, 36, and I, 34, have our 7th wedding anniversary coming up in less than 2 weeks. We've been together for more than 10 years, with no history of fighting, separation, etc. Pure bliss for me. Laughs, family trips, growing businesses, yard projects, 2 beautiful young boys. It's been a blast. Here's the rundown: the new job, boss, and the first weird night. This past year, my wife interviewed at a highly respected long-term care facility and was subsequently offered a high-up position by the guy who is now her boss. Since taking the job, she's talked very highly of this guy and his focus on family, success, and of course, how he believes in her ability to succeed at the company. Fast forward a few months and there I sit, incredibly suspicious of some recent out-of-character actions. While this new role brings in some out-of-office activities, some of the stuff just stunk of something. I wasn't suspecting anything in particular, but over time, my intuition was screaming that something is wrong with someone or something. There was a night in early June where I found myself pacing the house in terror that something happened to my wife while out for drinks and dinner with the co-workers after a golf tournament or something. At one point, she said she would be home in an hour. That came, and then another hour, and then a third hour. She and I share our locations on our iPhones because we have 2 little boys and figured it can't hurt to know each other's whereabouts. And her location was stuck in the same place, the side of a busy road, nowhere near where she said she was going. Her phone kept going to voicemail. I thought she may have been in an accident. Finally, on the brink of calling police, she calls me to say she is on her way home. I tell her how terrified I was, and she explained that her phone died and she was in a coworker's car without a charger. Weird. That has never happened before. She's never ever been out late and not checked in with me. I attributed it to the brand new job, new coworkers, and her efforts to fit into the social scene with this new role of hers. Her story did add up for the most part. The road where her last location before the dead phone's location was shared wound up being on the way to a restaurant they were supposedly at. Still, this disconnected behavior had never happened before with her. It was just so out of place. Fast forward a couple months, my wife has become obsessed with her workouts, her weight, wanting a bigger chest. Her morning routine in the bathroom has become longer and longer. Keep in mind, my wife is far more fit than your average gym goer. She has nothing to worry about. She's absolutely gorgeous. Meeting him and the obscure tucked away parking lot. A day came in early August where she invited her boss and some coworkers over to my house for some daytime drinks after a race they all ran together. I thought to myself, I finally get to meet this amazing boss that I hear so much about. They arrived, and that's when everything hit me. This guy, while much older than me, is handsome for his age of 60, but somehow incredibly awkward. Not once did he look me in the eye, and when I shook his hand, it was soaked with sweat. That's when my intuition screamed again, steering my suspicions toward him. He didn't stay long, and he didn't interact with my wife. He barely said a word to anyone other than to ask me what high school I went to while looking another direction. He just basically drank a beer and left. Following that, the last coworker to stay winds up inviting his GF and her daughter over. After a bunch of drinks, my wife was very convincing to invite them over for an impromptu dinner party. That all happened, and this guy and his GF left around 8 p.m. Now is the point where everything starts getting narrowed. In the days leading up to this morning race with her co-workers, my wife had been talking about getting drinks with her friend later that night to celebrate a birthday. She was back and forth with wanting to go, and then when her co-worker left for the day, she decided that she was in fact going to go. She went upstairs, dolled herself up, and came down looking awesome. She kissed me goodbye and left for a bar on the east side of town. Her entire demeanor was incredibly awkward, and I had to ask, "Are you okay to drive?" She said, "Yes, I really only had 2 throughout the day. I am not going to be out too late." I don't remember for sure, but I think she may have even asked me to wait up for her. I put on a movie or something and chilled out. Less than an hour went by, and I thought it was weird that she never texted me to let me know that she got there. Out comes the old Apple location. I pulled up her location to see that she made it okay, and to my utter confusion, her location was showing at work. Not exactly the office she works at, but a building tucked away across the street from her main building, one that I know she has never mentioned working in. It took some time to figure out where this was exactly, but there was no question. My thoughts were, did she turn around? Is she trying to make a call? What is she doing there? Why was I so suspicious of her boss this morning? Why did she decide to go back out? That's not like her. Why is she there? There is no logical reason for her to have driven west and parked at work. She said she is meeting a group for drinks on the east side of town, completely unrelated to any of her coworkers. She comes home not long after, awkwardly over-smiling as she greets me on the couch. She was gone for a total of an hour. I am still not completely sure what is going on. She keeps telling me how much she loves me. She hops on top of me and we make love. For a split second during this, I actually thought to myself, is it possible that she was just with someone else and less than 10 minutes ago? No way. I convinced myself that she was out of sorts and parked in that lot to make a call or something. Dumb, I know. The kid's new friend. Over the next few weeks into July, things seem fine, and I somehow put my thoughts in the back of my mind. Our sons have been going to summer camp, surprisingly enough, on the campus where she works. Some intense issues at her job either required me to pick up kids, or she would have her co-workers watch them for a few minutes. I learned of the many times that this boss of hers had my kids in his office, giving them snacks and letting them play on his computer. They actually got to know him. She mentioned how much she loved the support of this new team, the hotel. We take a week to go away to the beach with my wife's family. We spend every day on the beach. My wife and I took the kids on bike rides. It was pretty good. We both jumped back into a hectic work week, starting off with my wife asking if I can pick up the kids midweek so that she can go out with her coworkers. I was kind of thrown off by this because it was our eldest son's first day of kindergarten and we had just got back from vacation. I thought it really weird that she would put a work outing over being with her son after his school on his first day. She said that one of her female coworkers was having a tough time in a divorce and wanted to organize a little golf outing followed by dinner drinks to catch the first preseason football game. What I thought to be really weird was that during the week we were at the beach, this plan also included her female coworker grabbing a hotel because she lives far away. My wife said that she was thinking about catching up with her there before golf because of the rough stuff she was going through. I think this is really strange, but keep my thoughts inside. I agree to pick up our kids so she can do this. Now, keep in mind, I pick my kids up at an after-school program at my wife's place of work. I don't mind getting them, but this was a little strange since they are at her work and within a few minutes from our house. I work 40 minutes away, so it was a little inconvenient given that I would have to leave my business early to get the kids on our first week back. The day comes. We take pictures in the morning for my son's first day of kindergarten together. We walk him down together. She's rushing because she doesn't want to be late for work. I have a video of this on my phone, actually. We have been talking about this day for the entire end of preschool and throughout the summer. Here it is, and my wife is being weird, not herself. She is usually so invested in stuff like this. We see him walk into his class, and I can barely keep up with my wife on the walk back to our house. She is like this normally, but I thought she would take exception to her son's first day. We got back, and she was in her car and off to work, seemingly frantic. Later in the day, I barely get out of my business in time to be on time for the 45-minute drive to get the kids. There's a temporary road shut down for construction. Then there's heavy, unusual traffic on the highway. I am running late. Everything is against me. As I sit in traffic, my mind starts to race. This makes no sense. Why would she have me get the kids? It was our eldest's first day of school. Why is she out tonight? Doesn't she want to see him and be together? I panic because this is also our son's first day at the after-school program, and I know I am going to be late at this point. I call my wife. She doesn't answer. She knows I am picking the kids up. Why would she ignore my call? We are in this together. Wait, she's going to a hotel before golf. Am I stupid? Yes, it sounds that way. Nothing is going on. I feel so weird. In traffic, I pull out the phone again, hating what's become of me and this location thing. Her location, a hotel in the city where she works and we live, further from the golf course than one would expect. God, there is no way that she is there with her boss. If she is, I bet they are all there and they are at the bar getting drinks. But why at a hotel? I call the aftercare number because I can't get a hold of my wife, who is currently at a hotel with her female coworker. The after-school person says there is no need to panic, the kids will be fine, just take your time and get here when you can. I get closer and closer to getting off the highway and on toward the direction of my wife's work. Now, coincidentally, my GPS has me getting off right near the on-ramp by this hotel she is at. As I continue closing on the ramp, 10 minutes late for picking up my kids and stupidly watching my wife's location while driving and debating whether or not I have the guts to just be 5 more minutes late, jump off to the hotel and confirm my fears. Her location starts moving and she's leaving, and by some wild stroke of dumbfounded chance of traffic jams 45 minutes away, the particular hotel and the route my GPS has me on to exit the highway to get our kids, she drives by the opposite direction, getting onto the highway. Panicking at the opportunity to catch something, I don't see her car or the car that I know her boss drives. I am trying not to drive off the highway at this point. I missed. She went right by me. God help me if this is real. My heart is racing just recalling this moment. She must have been in a room for an hour. Denial and guilt set in. I feel awful for tracking her, but try to justify it in my mind through the horrible feelings inside of me. What is happening to me? I picked the kids up 10 minutes late, still frazzled as to why my wife wouldn't answer, but in absolute terror at the fact there's now a chance this could be really happening. She still hadn't called me back. My kids feel so dependent in my hands and I am terrified for them. I finally hear from her after the kids and I are home eating. I think I sent her a picture of all of us hanging out with our shirts off. Her response, I love you guys. Before bed, the kids and I FaceTime her, which is not something we typically do. I was kind of thinking I should so she can't avoid showing me who she's with. She answers and they are at a bar, but her boss isn't there, it seems. Maybe she really was at the hotel with her female coworker. Then one of my kids asks, where is X? You know, the guy that gives them snacks when they visit the office. Camera pans and there he is, grinning, waving at my kids. We say goodnight and I put the kids down. She finally comes home an hour or so later. She is so thankful that I was able to get the kids, take care of them, make them dinner, put them down, etc. She tells me how much she loves me and we have some real good sex. I feel so messed up. I feel violated. The smoking gun. 3 days later, my wife and I are waking up in bed on a Sunday morning. We have plans to take the kids hiking for the day. My wife immediately rolls over to her phone, but I don't think anything of it. She quickly gets out of the house for her routine early morning run. I walk downstairs and turn on her iPad, which just so happens to be one of the devices we share for music. Coincidentally, an update ran the night before, but I don't know if this has anything to do with what's next. As I'm opening Apple Music to put some early morning tunes on, a text message notification pops up. I had not seen this on this iPad before. It was an emoji-filled message from her boss reading something like, "Good morning, baby, it's a beautiful day for a run." I tap it without thinking. It opens up a subsequent message revealing that my wife actually texted him as soon as she woke up. I panicked and deleted the message. What was I thinking? Either way, I now see the smoking gun and fear, distrust, disgust, and violation set in. My wife returns from her run and I am angry, but I don't yell. I repeat his text message to her in my own words. She is confused and definitely weirded out. I take her hand and walk her into our dining room, sit her down, and put my eyes 6 inches from hers. Me. What is going on with you and your boss? Her, what? Nothing. He's my boss. He's almost 60 years old. She looks like she saw a ghost. Me. We have 2 beautiful boys in the other room. What are you doing? I explain the text messages. Her, nothing, I swear. Baby is just something we all call each other. He and I are in a friendly Apple Watch competition. I told him I was going to run. I swear nothing is going on. I walk away. I am thinking that I shouldn't have said anything. I should have held it together, let the text messages keep rolling in, and get my confirmation from something that won't lie to me. But I don't want to keep spying and sneaking. I am desperate for her to just come clean. We awkwardly drive to our hike. She's weird the whole way. We finish a pretty long, quiet hike with the kids. They pass out on the ride back, and I bring the morning text message up to her again. I tell her that it is killing me, and the fact that someone texted her first thing on a Sunday morning tells me what's on the mind. She immediately agrees how bad it appears, obviously having thought about it the whole day. She isn't denying that. She does deny that anything is going on, however. Meanwhile, the hotel in number 4 is still burning a hole in the side of my skull. Later that night, we talk about the text message again over a bottle of wine. I thought it might bring more out. No luck, just more denial and reassurance of no wrongdoing. Almost 3 weeks later, confirmation. I wake up this past Saturday with gut-wrenching visions of my wife with someone else. And on the morning of one of the biggest events my company hosts all year. I can't shake the thoughts despite the brevity of the day ahead. The hotel incident has been killing me for weeks. My wife leaves for the gym with our kids, something we used to do together, and I leave for work. In the chaos of setting up what should be a huge, successful event at my business, all this stuff is boiling within me. I feel so messed up. I want to leave and be home with my family to prove that I don't work too much, to prove that I love them and want the best for them. Then I try to do something I've been wanting to do for almost 3 weeks. I call the hotel, praying and praying that if I am given any kind of information, that it reveals her female coworker was indeed the one who booked the room. I hang up on the second ring. On second thought, I didn't want to know. Or did I already know? I had to get back to work. This whole day, by the way, my wife is with the kids. Day ends, I feel wrong that I don't hurry back to her despite maybe having a chance of getting home in time to see her before bed. Sunday morning. We have plans to go to her brother's for football. I have to run into work to deal with some aftermath of the event from the day before. She leaves for the gym with plans to pick me up at my business so we can ride to her brother's together. I start packing up and then look over at her iPad. It was practically screaming at me, "Do it. Maybe there's something there." I open her iPad and sit down. I feel so wrong doing this, but I also know that I've somehow been so much more wrong than anything I'm about to do. She had since figured out how to sign out of iCloud and stop texts from coming in, so no luck there, but an obvious sign of hiding something. I look at her boss contact card and see she was sharing her location on and off with him the night before. I open her photo stream, nothing weird there. I scroll down the albums. I open a deleted photos. Here we go. Underwear photos the day after we returned from the beach vacation and the morning before her return to work. I can only assume she sent them to her boss because I didn't get them. This is far out of her typical safe zone, so now the intensity and level of their relationship is starting to hit me. And then I see what appears as an accidental screenshot that she took of a text exchange with her boss the day before the hotel. The gist is how they are planning to have lunch or something together, mixed into a swath of hearts with the kicker from the boss. I've been waiting to see you since last Friday when you left. I'm waiting for you, babe. I look in her browsing history on her iPad. I see a Google search for how to say one more day in Spanish, search for the day of the panty pictures, and the day before we returned to work. It reminded me of how she would flirt with me back when we started out, more than 10 years ago. Someone else gets to experience that now. I am absolutely convinced at this point, and the 2 months of my denying and avoiding the obvious have no more fight in this. My life is about to change forever. I drive to my business and she meets me there later as planned with the kids. We hang out for a bit, but I am still in shock. She knows something is wrong and keeps asking. We drive to her brother's almost silently. The whole visit is incredibly awkward because I am just stewing in this realization, attempting to process, while she sits there seemingly terrified of what's to come. I text a partner of mine, a gentleman I am involved in business with and who happens to be a partner at one of the area's most reputable law firms. He's known as one of the top divorce attorneys in the state. Hey, maybe he can help. He calls me right away and I step outside. I walk him through as much as I can, stutter out in a panic. He calms me down and tells me that the only thing to do is to get her alone and put all the cards on the table. In the end, it doesn't matter how they got there, what matters is what's on them. Partial confession and where I am right now. After speaking with my attorney, we eventually head back home. Nothing is said, the tension is impossible. Finally, after I am sure the kids are asleep, I sit and wait in the kitchen. I ask her, where is our marriage headed? I state that she and her boss have something going on, and from the information I now have, it is indisputable. She kind of breaks down, but no tears. Before admitting anything, she immediately begins saying that she has felt disconnected from me this summer. You think? The first incident here, completely out of character, happened in the first week of June. These have been monthly all summer, and since she started working with this guy. She goes on to say that they spend time together. Nothing admitted. I ask the questions point blank. Have you had sex with him? No, of course not. Has anything happened? No. I ask again. She finally admits they kissed. I let this set in. I ask her where. She fumbles around her mind, but I can tell it's pretend. She says after work. I ask again where. She can't get it out. I say, were you at a hotel? Yes. Was he there? Yes. Was your coworker there? No. So you went to a hotel with your boss and kissed? Yes, but that's it. Nothing else happened. Well, what else did you do then? We talked about all of this. Adults don't kiss, they have sex. You didn't go to the hotel to kiss. She doesn't deny this, but she denies anything further happening. She says that she couldn't do it. She just couldn't bring herself to doing it. Like it actually matters now. We went back and forth about this with no yelling or shouting, just awful. The entire time she is saying, I want you, I want this, I want us. I don't know what the hell I was doing. She admits that despite some disconnect, there was nothing significantly wrong with our marriage. We vacationed, made love, grew our children, dated, etc. After about 30 minutes, it all hit me like a ton of bricks. Wait, you asked me to leave my job early to pick up our children from the after-school program at the very place you work at with this guy so that you could leave work early to go to a hotel with him where you two plan to have sex. And on our son's first day of kindergarten, I recall the text message. He has been waiting for her. They plan to have sex. I recall the hotel being mentioned while on vacation the week before. This was in the works while we sat on the beach together with her family. It was not spur of the moment. The conversation goes nowhere but further into this new hell that I have just inhabited, the last place on earth I want to be. We go to bed. She cuddles me and it's disgusting. I feel infected, violated, ruined, and motionless. It stops. I lie awake for 3 hours, then hop onto the internet, desperately searching for success stories where couples come back from this. There are none. It's all about how to realize the situation, how it will never work again, and that it's time to move on, regardless of money, kids, love, history. Just awful. Hopeless. I start contemplating divorce, then realize I am 5 hours into a sleepless night, just hit by a freight train, and not a clean thought in my head. She wakes and asks me what I am doing, and I don't have much to say. Then I ask her about their meeting, which would confirm my earliest suspicions and nullify her claims that this just started. I tell her that I knew her car was at that facility. She admitted to meeting with him and said that they only talked in the car. I can only imagine. Another detail left out, and a revelation that this is much more long-standing. Morning. She hops in the shower and I completely break down. I held it together all through the night, but I just imploded as soon as I sat up. I finally noticed one of my sons was up and on the potty in the other room, and I feared that he heard me weeping. I wipe my eyes, walk into the bathroom to see if he needs help, and for the first time in my life, my knees gave out completely. I dropped to the floor and sobbed in front of him. The sight of one of our innocent sons, completely oblivious in all his perfect, moldable youth, just wrecked me. Who can be so careless, so completely narcissistically motivated that this beautiful child we are responsible for could be forgotten for some meaningless. My other son comes in and sees his father sobbing on his knees, holding his youngest. What in the hell has happened to my life? It all just changed in an instant. I held those boys so tight as I realized the tables had turned. I've held them so many times as they cried, but this was the first time those little boys held me. What a dramatic moment, but it felt good to know that while I've lost her, I still have them. Finally, I pull it together and go downstairs to make coffee. She has no idea what I am going to do. At one point in the middle of the sleepless night from hell, I said that I am beginning to think that I can't get over this, that everything we have built together is for nothing. I hinted at divorce, but I have no clue what to do. We somehow ate breakfast together with our children, awkwardly trying to come to grips with the unknown ahead of us. Afterwards, my wife and I embraced. We held each other tight and sobbed without the kids seeing. She knows how severe this is. I saw her off to work with our youngest, and I said that it would take a miracle to fix this. I have no trust whatsoever, and it is going to be incredibly difficult to grow that again. It took 10 years for us to get this far, and we just drove off a cliff. She again said she wants nothing more than our children, our marriage, and our life. She is going to have to pull me out of hell. I walked my eldest son down to his school where he had just started kindergarten 3 weeks prior, on the day my wife planned her hotel trip with her boss. It took every ounce of energy I had left to not start sobbing like a fool again. I watched this beautiful little being reluctantly run off into the playground, checking to make sure I was still there every few steps. He loves me so much. I watched all the parents coming in, some together and holding hands. I can't believe what my life has become in the last 12 hours. Update. I completely failed to mention that my wife said she has been struggling with this for a while. It's only been a couple of weeks since the last known incident at the hotel, so not that long. She says that she has canceled an upcoming business trip to California with him that I have absolutely been dreading. She also said that she is withdrawing from the program that has required her to work closely with him. They will be on opposite ends of the building. None of this really means much to me. User that beastly cad said, she's lied to you consistently. Yes, she had with him, obviously. No, it's not your fault. She knew you well enough to hide it. She's remorseful she got caught, and now there will be consequences. You should tell the other guy's wife. She deserves to know. You should tell your friends and family because you and your kids need support. As for staying with your wife, on the basis of what you've described, I think it would be an enormous mistake. This is not some ONS where she's come begging forgiveness the next day. This is a planned and calculated affair which she has concealed and denied until the evidence was inescapable. In my view, you should divorce her and use whatever shame or hope of reconciliation she has to get good terms for you and the kids. She's not who you thought she was. She's a risk to you and your children. She's destroyed your family. Don't take the misery and uncertainty of trying to make it work with someone you know you can't trust. Take the pain now and rebuild your life without her in it. You now owe her nothing. I'm so sorry this happened to you, man. It's terrible. A deleted user said, you tell the boss's wife. Not only do you tell the boss's wife, but you get in your car with your wife, drive to your boss's house, and have your wife tell her boss's wife. In fact, you should have put the whole family in the car, taken your wife's phone, driven to the guy's home, and gone up to confirm details yourself. You tell your wife on the way over if his details don't match yours. User Bensel said, this is over. Sure, you can stay and waste the next 7 to 10 years of your life suffering quietly in limbo while your kids gather enough childhood trauma of living in a broken home wrecked with infidelity to ruin their own adult lives and relationships. And then one fine morning you wake up and realize you just wasted 7 to 10 years on this person, then divorce, and then spend the next 20 years regretting wasting 7 to 10 years on this person. Or you can leave now. Yeah, it will hurt like a son of a gun for the next 1 to 3 years, but you will eventually heal and find someone who deserves you, and your kids will be able to proudly look back and draw strength from you and your resolve not to put up with this shit.